Welcome to the Journey to CEO Success. I'm your co-host, Melissa Saunders, and I'm joined by Patrick Tian, award-winning serial entrepreneur, renowned CEO coach, and a best-selling author, recognized by the Wall Street Journal, USA Today, and Amazon. Patrick's latest book, The Journey to CEO Success, is a #1 Amazon bestseller and the inspiration behind this podcast. Patrick, it's great to have you here.
Hey, good morning, Melissa. It's always great to do this.
Great. And we have a great guest for you today. Her name is Michele Hecken. She's the founder and CEO of Alpha Global Experts and the founder of The Art of Offboarding, a leadership and operational methodology that helps high-performing leaders build companies, get this, that can thrive without their constant involvement. This is right up our audience's alley. Over the course of more than 25 years, Michele built a global multi-million-dollar business, created the system and leadership structure to step back from the day-to-day, and ultimately sold the company at a premium. Today, she advises leaders on how to do the same by intentionally offboarding themselves from the work that no longer requires their unique contribution. Michele, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Patrick. I'm very happy to be here today.
I'd like to begin, let's take the first 3 to 5 minutes and share a little bit about what you do today. I believe you're doing two things today. Your advisory, but you still also have Alpha Global, parts of the investment piece, right? So tell us what you do today.
Okay, absolutely. So today I'm an executive advisor and coach to high-performing CEOs, and I focus on helping them create the life that they started the business to live in the first place. And so my background, so I do that. I'm a teacher, speaker, and author. My book also Amazon bestseller. So I am very happy to join the ranks of Patrick and others. And I'm an artist as well. So a couple different things that I do.
That's great. By the way, what is the name of your book? Tell us about your book.
The name of my book is...
It's right there, isn't it? Yeah, show it to us.
It's right there. It's called The Art of Offboarding, Transform Your Business to Run Without You, which is based on what I did in my business. I worked 4 to 10 hours a week in my former business that I sold for over 15 years. And Melissa had mentioned it. That was the reason I got an all-cash deal, higher EBITDA, because it ran without me. And when I sold, I had a lot of entrepreneurs come to me and say, how did you do that? I want that life. Can you teach me? Which then was the inspiration to start coaching and to write the book. I was going to write the book potentially about remote work because when I sold in 2019, I had run a remote company for 25 years. And of course, in 2020, people were obviously asking me how to do that. But this I felt like was something more pressing. And so that's how I started to do what I do now.
Well, that's great. And first, congratulations. That's really hard to do. So congratulations. And, this podcast is that we have here. It's all about helping CEOs have a more joyful and successful life. I mean, I met you a long time ago at MIT when I was leading and teaching the Entrepreneurs Masters program, right? And basically, we had all these entrepreneurs come, and I think you agree with me. A lot of CEOs prioritize success over everything else, and they make what I call the fool's choice, where they choose success. They feel like they got to choose one or the other, and actually, our podcast is about not choosing one or the other. It's really about having a wonderful journey. Your reward should be the journey, of having joy and success at the same time. So, congratulations for walking what we're talking about. And I'd love to know more about, let's talk about your personal journey now. Like, how did you start and what led you to this realization that you could do both actually and work less, build a business that doesn't depend on you? How did you come to the realization?
It's actually kind of funny because when I'm a speaker and lecturer as well. So one of the things I always say is like, you don't have to choose. You can have both. And so what you're saying really resonates with me. My journey is an interesting one. So I'm half German and half Canadian. My parents moved back and forth, Canada, Germany. So I'm naturally bilingual. And I think I'm going to answer your question at the beginning and then come again back to it at the end. What made me have that realization? I always joke, I'm intrinsically lazy and I don't like doing things that I don't like doing. But of course, there's a serious answer to your question. So basically, I started the company in 93 in Canada, but we had just moved from Germany to Canada. I had studied art, political science, and law, and I was doing translations on the side in Germany. And then we decided to move to Canada. My kids were 2 and 3 years old, and I took my one client with me. So this is what I call the purple cow, if you're familiar with
Yes.
Godin's
Yeah.
work. It was the beginning. The fax machine was just invented. It was pre-internet. Translations, which is what I did because I was gifted with 2 languages, fully bilingual. That's what I did. And they were always an afterthought, right? People spend 3 months building a marketing campaign or drafting a contract, and then
Yes.
all of a sudden they need it in 5 languages tomorrow,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
It's always urgent. And so, so what I did is I said, look, this is great. I am 8 hours behind in Canada, 8 hours behind Germany. So fax me, because we have this great new technology. Fax me your translation when you go home. That's 9 a.m. my time. And when you come back in the morning, you will have the translation there. And that was really the purple cow because nobody was doing this. So I was leading a global company at, I don't know, 24, 25, where everybody was telling me that's impossible. You have to start local. Only companies go global. And before you go global, you have to build your, like all of that advice was coming at me. And the other piece of advice that came at me all the time was you can't have it all. You can't have both. You're either going to build a really successful business and then you're going to be a bad mom, or you're going to be a good mom and you'll never get the business off the ground, but that's okay. It's nice to do something on the side.
Yes.
And
Take
that
your
always
children
made,
seriously, but not your business, right? One or the other.
right? And so it
Yeah.
always really kind of annoyed me. And then when somebody tells me no, the rebel comes out. And of course, well, watch me, let's see. So I didn't want this impossible. I want to be a good mom and I want to build a thriving business. I didn't want an impossible balancing act. So I set out, and that was my why. So to your question,
Yes.
how did you come to this realization? There was one night I was working 20-hour days, just not wanting to say no to clients. I was building a business from scratch and I was faxing the translation back. And if you remember, you can't just go, right? It's 2 a.m., but I need the confirmation. So I'm waiting. Check my answering machine. My doctor fired me because I couldn't keep appointments. My hairdresser told me to find a new salon. And the one friend that I had so far made in this new place was wondering if I was still alive.
Yes.
And it was in that moment that I realized if I don't change this, I'm just getting fired from my own life.
Yes.
And if I don't change this, one day my kids are going to fire me from their lives. And that was the point where it's like, okay, no, I can do both. I will have a joyful life. I will be a good mom. And then I started setting out to design on purpose a company that doesn't need me. Now,
I love, slow down a little bit, Michelle. I
Yeah.
love what you said, that if you don't stop this, you can get fired from your own life.
Yeah.
And I just would like that phrase to hang in the air a little bit for our audience. You could get fired from your, I think a lot of people don't think of it that way, right? We always think that our lives will be there for us forever. So we can go focus on work. But your realization is, hey, if you don't change this, you will be fired from your own life. And by the way, your kids will fire you as well. I think that is a very, very different perspective, and one that probably really, what you're saying, and it probably really helped you figure out how to have this strong leg in both worlds, right? Your joyful life and your journey to business success at the same time.
Right. Absolutely. And thank you. Because I remember the feeling. I still have goosebumps when I think about it. And having that why, that driver, right, also kept me from not getting pulled back in, right? Because as the business grows, there's more things and more questions, right? But because I had that true north, it was much easier to say no to the things that weren't going to serve my life. And I think that's really, really important.
Yeah.
We only have one.
Michelle, some people would say that that's a very selfish perspective. But I've learned also that sometimes these selfish perspectives are actually good for everybody. So the idea that when you're in a plane and you have turbulence, blah, 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 and the oxygen mask come down, right? What do they always say? They always say, hey, put your oxygen mask on first. then go
That's
help
right.
your children or somebody else. So a long time ago, my first company, I was similar in that I was burning the candle at both ends. And my dad said to me, Patrick, if you don't take care of yourself, if you don't, I was putting everything into the company. He said, hey, if you don't take care of yourself, you're going to burn out. When you burn out, it is not good for anybody. And so he advised me to do a few things for myself. And I couldn't at first. I thought, God, that is so selfish. But then I learned over the years that, man, when I didn't take care of myself, it really wasn't good for anybody.
Agreed. Agreed. And, we talk about being selfish and doing things for ourselves in the same breath, right? But those are really completely different things, right?
Yes.
Because we're still being selfish is not being
Right.
considerate of others,
Exactly.
right?
So it's
And,
not
and
being selfish. Totally not being selfish to do things for
not,
us. Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And I think that there's an interesting aspect that uh, sometimes I think servant leadership
Yes.
gets misinterpreted, right? A lot of CEOs that I talk to look at servant leadership as I have to be doing the same things as my team and I have to do what they do and we all have to be equal.
Yes.
Well, not just for the leader is that a problem, it's a problem for the whole business because we want people working at what they're best at and what gives them the most energy all of the time. Like, we're just going to have a mediocre company if everybody's doing the same thing. We have to have people stand out and we have to have people stand in their power and what they do best.
Yeah.
And as the CEO and founder, we need to lead that. And if I'm saying, look, my time is best spent if I'm bringing new big accounts together with my sales team, or my time is best spent speaking or building relationship to grow the company. Great. You have your own job description. I
Yes.
can't do what you do, right? So this making everything equal, I really do feel leads to mediocrity and burnout for your team too.
Yes. Yes.
So I it, the selfishness is really closely associated to guilt.
Yeah.
And there's so much guilt for entrepreneurs when they, what I call it, start to offboard themselves from the role that they had that no longer serves their business. Because that notion is like, now I'm out playing golf. Funny enough, there's rarely guilt when an entrepreneur starts another business and pulls out of the existing one because now it's legit. But we don't look at taking care of ourselves and our lives as
Yeah.
being legitimate, but that's all we have.
Yeah. Michelle, what I call the fool's choice is feeling like you have to make a binary decision between A or B. And I think that's where a lot of mistakes happen. Even the phrase I chose just now, right? I said, taking care of yourself feels selfish. So it feels like it's A or B. It's like, if I take care of myself, then I'm not taking care of the company. When in actuality, if we just pause for a minute, I think we should avoid making the fool's choice. It's not a binary decision. Usually, between A and B, there's a C, D, and E, the third, fourth, fifth choice that actually gets you the best of both worlds. And though it takes a little bit longer to get to that, to the third, fourth, fifth option, but those are usually the best options where it takes something from both sides and create something even more beautiful. So even in the words that I used today, I can see like, okay, selfish, non-selfish. That's again a binary thing.
Binary.
So choosing between work and personal life, that's a binary thing. We don't have to do that. So tell me, in your experience, this tension that the CEOs all feel, why are they stuck in that tension of feeling like I got to choose between my business and my personal life? Like, what are a couple of secrets you can share today that can help people, do this out of offboarding that you talk about? What are a couple of secrets you can share today?
Okay. Well, number one, I couldn't agree with you more. It was the same for me. And I feel the same about work-life balance. First of all, why is work first? Isn't our life more important? And then if we try and balance something, that's also a binary choice. It's work, and then it's implied that I'm not happy there. And it's
Yes.
life, and it's implied that I'm happy there. But I'm still alive when I'm at work. This is part of my life. So when we look at it, I think that one of the big things that gets people stuck is looking at these as two separate things
Hmm.
and putting them in two separate let's say boxes or bubbles,
Yes.
right? And most of the founders that are feeling stuck are trying to fit their life box into their business box.
I see.
But the life box by default, of course, is much bigger. So the business box should fit in the life box with enough room around it to experience your life, but they're together like a small bubble inside a bigger bubble, right? So when we separate it, we create that binary situation, and then we can't see all the beautiful middle, which is where 1+1 = 3. So that's one thing. Just, getting confused, thinking I have to balance this out. Because let's face it, sometimes we want to work 14 hours and because we're in flow, and then we end up feeling guilty because we work too much. But then the next 3 days, maybe we're tired and then we feel guilty for not working enough. It's a flow,
It's
right?
a flow.
So number one, stop separating work and life.
So your number one is you have one big box. It's life, and your work box should fit in there, and it should be well blended. Is what you're saying.
And it's your job to decide what else fits in your life box, right? And sometimes we have stuff in our life box, and same as in our business box, that doesn't belong there anymore, right? So that's another reason why we're stuck often when everything is too full or there's not enough room left in the life box, right? When everything we do in our life box is about business. I mean, if it's all filled with joy and that's what you love to do and you're really happy, fine, so be it. Right? Yes. It doesn't have to be a finite amount of free time, but it's about what you talk about, the joy. Do I love what I'm doing? Is it energizing me? Is it making me happy? Am I taking care of people around me, which is the opposite of selfishness, right? So and then when we don't have enough things that bring us joy in our life box, we tend as entrepreneurs to make the business box bigger.
Okay. Great. So what else should we do as we think about this life box, and what else should we do to offboard properly?
Okay. I think you're going to love this, and I think we're really aligned in this. So when I start working with clients, when I'm coaching one-on-one, and it's also part of my program, one of the first things is get clear on what you want your life to be. Like, we spend so much time designing our business, right? But we don't really take as much time designing our life. And you talked about success earlier, where, in that context was success equaling wealth. But living a happy life is the ultimate success, right? Yes. So when we look at that, it's just really important to get clear on what you want your life to look like, right? Because all of the decisions follow that. If I'm like, oh, okay, do I take on this new investor and grow my business to 100 million, or do I keep it as a lifestyle company? Right now, the ego is, I got to get bigger because everybody's doing that and I have to build it. If we don't have a vision for our lives, we might just go and do it. And it might be great. When we have a vision for our lives and we say, here's what I want my life to look like. And then I look at what would my life look like if I brought on this investor. And I have nothing against that. It's just an example, right?
Yes.
If I followed this path to 100 million or $1 billion, is that the life that I want to live?
That's right.
And maybe it's not, right? And maybe it's just not yet. But being clear on what we want, like, I wanted to have time with my kids. I wanted to have a great relationship with my daughters. I wanted to be able to travel with them. I wanted to travel. And so all of those things, it's not just on paper, but it's what do I want my life not just to look like, but to feel like? And that same question is true for your business. What do I want it to look like? Yes, revenue, metrics, all of those things. But what do I want my business to feel like for me and for my team?
So how do people do what you did, which was create enough space in your life, and in your case, work less hours in the business, still create a thriving business that it could, because you're right. I've done a few exits myself, and I've helped a lot of entrepreneurs exit. One of the big questions that they have to always solve before they can exit is, can the company run without them?
Yeah.
And then the other question,
the other 5 years earlier.
Right. And the other thing that I think you mentioned it earlier today also, that a lot of entrepreneurs don't fully understand or can't figure out how to do, is to really spend your time doing the things that are most valuable adds to the company. I think that have to be things you enjoy as well. And then not get entangled in every other detail that you don't have to take care of. So
Yeah.
how do we do that? How did you do that actually? How did you do that?
Very, very good question. It really hinges on two things, which is uncertainty and fear. Now, as entrepreneurs, we can typically live with more uncertainty than most people, right? Because
Yeah.
can we make payroll? What is from now the world going to look like, right? So we're always in uncertainty. And when we're in a lot of uncertainty, we crave control, right? So
Yeah.
that is where people hang on, right? And then, of course, it's fear, especially founding CEOs, right? If they often feel it, and it is like that, right? It's your baby, you've created it, you know how everything works. There comes a point where you can't know how everything works anymore, and you can't actually do other people's jobs. But we stay and try and micromanage and look at what are they doing because of fear, uncertainty, control. Like, this is scary. So when we can empower our team and when we purposely look at, okay, what does my job look like? What am I doing? So take an audit and inventory. You asked me how. Be really clear. Like, what are you responsible for? And it's very rare. I would say 1 in 100 CEOs, founders have a job description. We don't have one because we just
Yes.
do everything. And then you start hiring a number two or somebody else. They have a job description. And then we keep messing around. We keep putting our fingers into everybody else's plates because we're not clear on what we're supposed to be doing. And what got us from here to here is not going to get us from there to there.
Yes.
So, right. So when I first, came up with the word offboarding, my coach told me, this is terrible, Michelle. You can't use this. It has a connotation of firing people. And like, you come from the language industry, words matter. I'm like, yes, but there is no word for what I'm trying to express.
Yes.
And it is kind of a firing yourself, taking stock of what are you doing? What does the company require from you? What are the things that energize you that are within your superpower? And then hire people to do the other things.
Yes.
And by the way, if you do that with your team, you're going to have less churn, less burnout, and much happier people. So what do I want my business to feel like for me and my team, right?
Yes.
We get stuck in the need for control because of fear, but we're also creating an environment where we can't let go of that uncertainty because we're trying to micromanage everybody. And that just leads to burnout.
Yes. Michelle, that is so insightful. I want to thank you for your time. However, we've come to the close of our show. And before we go, this podcast is all about helping CEOs have a more joyful and successful life, not to have to make the fool's choice of one or the other. So what last advice would you like to leave with our audience to help them enjoy their journey, to help them have a more joyful and successful life?
Put your own oxygen mask on first. And I love that analogy, and I also hate it a little bit because it implies we're in crisis. So what I'm saying is, don't wait till you're in crisis and then try to get air, but get clear on what you want your life to look like. And trust yourself. Trust yourself because you know deep down what you want. Trust yourself to say no to the things that don't fit in your life and in your business, and give people agency and authority to make the right decisions, right? But believe in yourself. The biggest thing is resourcefulness and resilience. If we can believe that we are resourceful and resilient, then we don't have to be so fearful of things that come up in our business and in our lives, because we know we've solved them. And yeah, maybe it's not fun, but we know we can do it. So that resourcefulness and resilience, believing in yourself and your vision, I think is really important.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Melissa, back to you.
Yeah, Michelle, thank you so much for joining our podcast today, sharing your amazing journey, your leadership insights, and really reminding us that the best businesses are those that can run without us. And thanks to all of you for listening today. Join us next time for another conversation with the CEO about what it really takes to grow a business, lead well, and be joyful. Until next time, bye.
Thank you for having me.